Good morning. This is the Great Basin prescribed fire and weather briefing for Friday, October 17th. You can see some of our burn projects here in the purple colors scattered about across parts of the higher terrain of the Spring Mountains and up through some of the higher terrain of Utah, as well as up in northwestern portions of our Idaho regions up towards the Payette and the Boise National Forest. No recent large fires to speak of or natural fires because it has been quite wet over the past 7 days. You can see the precipitation on the left, green to dark green, a half inch to an inch of rain. Some of the yellows are 1.5 to 2 inches of rain. Um, and a lot of areas got soaked with it. Also, some high elevation snow of 6 to 12 inches from the Utah mountains up into parts of the Grand Tetons. It's been a wet week in a lot of areas, even northwestern Nevada, which missed a lot of the heavy precipitation, had some light precip and higher humidity throughout. Look at some of the fuels where we are having probably the densest conglomeration of our burn projects up in the Payette. You can see that the ERCs have dropped well below even mid-October normals, but the forecast trend, you can see this line through here, is rising upwards. So drier weather is expected for the next couple of days. That should bode well. And then some of our other burns there in the Spring Mountains, same story. ERCs drop down very low, but are trending upwards now and through the next 7 days. Satellite imagery. Clear skies in the south. We do have some high and mid-level clouds in the north with a brief disturbance passing through northern areas. Upper level map for this afternoon on the left, you can see this little disturbance through here, some clouds in the blackish to green areas, drier air behind it with some cooler temperatures, a larger wedge of that dry air and clear, which shows the clear skies to our south. The ventilation or dispersion, good to excellent in the white, and then starts to decrease as you go from yellow to red, decreases a bit more across western Nevada. There'd be some cloud cover limiting the daytime mixing through there. Surface winds fairly light or near calm in the blue areas. Otherwise, light slope-driven winds, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Only significant winds, Snake River Plain into parts of the high terrain of Wyoming being funneled through there. Otherwise, looking at driest afternoon humidities in the mid to upper teens across southern Nevada. Otherwise, most areas in the 20s to 30% range. Pretty good range for some burn projects in a lot of areas. Now, for transport winds, the transport winds will be pretty strong in northern areas with that front coming through. So at the ridge tops, upper slopes, overall transport winds could be 25 to 35 miles an hour. Otherwise, and also maybe 15 to 25 in the Spring Mountains. Otherwise, looking at fairly light transport winds. Vertical mixing, we see the yellows and oranges basically between 3 to 4,000 feet above ground level. Now, for tomorrow, the ridge of high pressure starts building in a little bit from the west. We do have still a cool northwesterly flow, still drier air to the south, still some clouds with another deep low pressure area off the British Columbia coast. You can see the ventilation index a bit lower because of the cloud cover up in northern and western areas. Light overall winds at the surface, humidities, you can see them driest in the south in the teens, otherwise 20s and 30s as you head further north. But these are fairly dry humidities and pretty good for burning. Again, the transport winds not really significant, maybe in the 10 to 20 mile an hour range in some of the Idaho mountains. Otherwise, a good vertical mixing. We see the yellows and oranges. On Sunday, this low produces a very strong wind gradient. It's a good front in here as well. Tight packing of these height lines indicates very strong upper-level winds. Also, at the tail end of this cold front here, you can see it could produce some light precipitation, maybe some moderate precipitation for parts of Idaho and going into western Wyoming. It probably would have already hit parts of the Payette and Boise a little bit earlier. Excellent overall ventilation, a lot more areas in the white. You see the transport winds starting to pick up along that front. I mean, actually, these are surface winds, 10 to 20, maybe 25 miles an hour, higher up in Wyoming. Humidity starting to rise in the Idaho mountains to between 40 and 60%, but still very dry, teens and 20s in the south. You can see the much stronger transport winds on the left, the oranges to purples, 30 to 40, even 45 to 50 mile an hour winds in the vicinity of the Tetons. So very strong winds up in northern areas. That's something to keep in mind. That comes with great vertical mixing of 3, 4, even 5,000 feet. Temperatures, high temperatures today through Sunday. You can see a significant cool down across the north from the near McCall from 54 down to 48. I see, but you go into southern areas, actually a warm up, like Salt Lake City area goes from 59 to 72. Vegas goes from 76 to 81. So depending on where you live, will depend on what your temperature trend will be the next couple of days. 3-day precip totals with that front in the north, some light to locally moderate precipitation in the higher terrain areas of Idaho and western Wyoming. Could be a few more inches of snow. Some of those areas, especially in Tetons, otherwise dry further south. And say dry next week because a flat ridge of high pressure builds in with this tannish shade, and that high pressure kind of shifts eastwards, never really gets established. There's a cutoff low, but a fairly dry low, which will try to pull up some moisture from the south, but it stays south of us. You see this next cold front pushing into Idaho, into Oregon, and into parts of Idaho on Tuesday. It quickly moves on through. There is some of that moisture from the south starts creeping into southern halves of Nevada and Utah, so we'll see maybe some light precip. We'll see. Otherwise, that system pushes through. There's weak high pressure over the eastern Great Basin by Thursday, but a stronger cold front starts approaching the west coast towards the latter part of next week. 4 to 5 day precip totals. This will be Monday morning through Wednesday morning, fairly light, and then some spotty precipitation in parts of Utah, the Arizona Strip, maybe the highest terrain of central Nevada. We'll see, but the heavy precip stays offshore here. It starts to move onshore towards the end of next week. It could play a role in our weather next weekend. 7-day precip totals through here, and the 8 to 14 day outlook shows a slightly warmer than normal conditions for most areas, and a trend towards wetter. That storm system that's just offshore on that day 7 moves onshore. We could see another trend to prolonged wet weather. So this next 7-day period should be a good one to get some burn activity in place. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day. And we'll be back on Monday.